Okay, something weird happened when I got up. I think it decided it didn't like me anymore anyway, so we'll see if I can stitch this together. I have no idea if that's going to work. Anyway, so this is another book which I have been looking for. I had been looking for a long time. As you some of you may know, I've been collecting the volumes of the Loeb library for quite a while. My father used to have a nice little collection, and it went with one of my relatives who they have the Greek and they took the whole thing. My dad did not have any of the Latin ones, so that's something that I has been one of those things that I just decided, okay, at some point, like getting younger, I'm going to get the books I want, and I want the Loeb library. So I don't mostly buy them new because they're pretty expensive, and I can't really justify that, but I can certainly justify going to Moe's Books in Berkeley and picking up the books, which typically run about $15 each, and that's about half what they are if you buy them new, and they have an astonishing number that show up there. But there are some that don't, and those are usually the ones that are the most desirable. And at some point, after having looked for some years for this particular one, I said, this is what I'd like for my birthday. Thank you very much. So I got it. This is a Loeb Lucretius, and it is a delight to have. I'm so happy to have it. I pretty much was given, it was a surprise, and it arrived in my hands, and I opened it up and it said, oh, you gave me the Lucretius, can't I be sick and not go to work today? Oh, too bad. And anyway, it was kind of like that. So this is actually one of my treasures because I wanted it a lot, and it was given to me. That makes it a treasure. It's never going anywhere. Not that any of my Loeb library going anywhere. They're mine. Over my dead body, my cold dead body. Yeah. So, but there you go. This is Lucretius, and the Lucretius was lost for quite a long time. Lucretius was one of the last and most educated and sophisticated of the adherents of Epicurus, who wasn't super popular in his own time because he advocated that you not get too crazy about following the gods. The gods were there, he said, but they don't really care much about what you do. You pretty much need to be responsible for your own actions, for better or worse, and once you make it better. And his other tenet is that the most important thing that a man can work towards is happiness. Now, this didn't go down very well with the later human beings. I said human beings. I'm trying to think of another word. The Romans after Epicurus. I think the philosophy that kind of took root after that was Stoicism, and Stoicism definitely had more advocates than Epicureanism because it was an increasingly distressing time in the Roman Empire, and so increasingly it was more appropriate to be a Stoic because you pretty sure there was going to be some awful stuff coming down the pipeline, and you might as well be ready for it because it wasn't going to be good, and whether it was good or bad, it didn't really matter. You needed to be ready for it. So Epicureanism definitely went out of fashion, and Stoicism was in. But it isn't like any of the books disappeared. It's just that then when Christianity took root and took hold and became one of the most important and obviously the most widespread philosophies, religions, ways of thinking anywhere for centuries and centuries, is that it was kind of a pretty firm move to make anything Epicurean disappear. So Epicurus himself was discredited. Oh, well, he didn't say that you needed to be happy. He said that the only thing that was important in this life was happiness, and anything that you needed to do to be happy was going to be okay. You could just like hang out with whoever you wanted, drink whatever you wanted, eat whatever you wanted, have sex with whoever you wanted, and in fact, that's not what Epicurus was about at all. And it's funny because a very early book report I wrote, I had a very foresightful English teacher who, when he realized that I was going to be bored in his class, first gave me the Picture of Dorian Gray to read, and then he gave me The Stranger by Camus to read and said, all right, write a report on these guys. So that's when I discovered, I went to look in my friendly local paper encyclopedia because we had no internets back in those days, and I discovered, in fact, that there was this philosophy called Epicureanism, and my encyclopedia said that it was the philosophy of being happy. And I said, well, that sure sounds like Dorian Gray. And so for many, many, many years, Epicureanism was tied in my mind with, whoa, Dorian Gray, and I know better now. And Lucretius has showed. Oops. Lucretius has showed me the way. It's a fascinating look. In fact, the other thing that Lucretius makes very clear is that one of the other very important tenets of Epicurus was that he believed that things were made of atoms, or things that were too small to see, that were the basic pure element of what the thing was, like the, not treeness, but the skinness or the rockness or the leafness, the thing that made a thing what it was, or waterness for that matter, that made the thing what it was at its very, very smallest elemental part. Atoms, just like we believe now. But that was a long time ago too. So Epicurus, Lucretius lived from 99 BC to 55 BC, and Epicurus was quite a bit before that, about 150 years, I want to say. Anyway, this one is a treasure, not because it's so rare or because it's so amazing, but because I wanted it, and it was given to me. There you go. Lucretius. All right, here's another one. This is actually kind of a little bit of a curiosity. This one my father brought back from Vietnam. He was there on a peace mission with, I think, Tom Hayden and some other luminaries and not so luminaries. And he was along as one of a religious party, of a group of very open-minded and sort of forward-thinking people who espoused religion in some way, form, or shape, or fashion. He was an ordained minister in the Episcopal Church, and he took that part of it pretty seriously. Anyway, he came back with some souvenirs. I think it was a pretty interesting trip for him. That was well, the war was still going on, or just shortly after, but not much after. And he brought back a lot of different souvenirs: an unexploded fragmentation bomb, one of those little round fragmentation guys. I have that in my collection too. Okay. And he also brought back some little art pieces. Probably, I guess they'd be tourist things now, but they were very exotic because they came from Vietnam, and nobody had anything like that. He also brought this back. And when our family library was being broken up, I asked for this one, and I think I actually may have given up those Joseph Campbell books that I had to buy again because because I think one of my other brothers got it, and I said, well, I'd like to have Kim Van Q instead. This is it's printed on terrible paper. This was printed in 1963. Oh, it was published in 1963. It's in Vietnamese and English, and it does have some illustrations. This is a poem, and apparently it's a very beautiful poem. It's a very important one because Kim Van Q is the national epic poem of Vietnam. And it's a story of a well-born girl whose parents come under a bureaucratic cloud, and are hounded to death, and the girl is sold to become a prostitute. And this is a story. It's a very turgid story, but it's a fervid story, I think I meant to say. But it tells a story of how she stays steadfast in her belief in what she intends to do, and does not give in to the slings and arrows of misfortune, but comes out of it in the end reasonably all right. It's beautiful. Apparently in Vietnamese, I mean, even with all of the very awful things that are going on, it's still a very beautiful piece, and I love the illustrations. They're, obviously this was a wartime effort. Paper's very poor, but it was clearly intended for the Western market, because why else would they have done it this way? But it's a very pretty book, and it's well cared for, because I think the only person that ever looked at it on my parents' shelves was me. So maybe I earned this one. This is This was, yeah, the pages without any handling at all are crumbling because they are not beautifully built. But this is the title page there, and there it is, Kim Van Q. And I've never seen one like it. I've never seen one online on Biblio or anything. I think it's probably an oddity, but it's my oddity. There you go, for the treasures from my library. All right, we're getting down to the end of it here. A couple more to go. This one I posted fairly recently on Instagram. My grandmother gave me a long time ago. She gave me her complete set of Sir Walter Scott. They are Everyman edition. The entire set, including an Everyman Ivanhoe. Those are adorable little sort of like pocket-sized books, and they're the old ones that have those really nice frontispieces in them. But this one, I think she must have gotten first, and she must have really cared for this one a lot because it was really beat up when I got it. There was no spine. When I had it rebound, it had to have a new spine. The boards were still there, and the pages were all there. The stitching was definitely starting to come out. You can see how it's got beautiful new edging done there. And the pages are, you can see this, it's not perfect, but we discussed it when I talked with the binder, and he said, do you want it perfect? And I said, no, I just want it stable, because I contributed somewhat to its disrepair. This one was printed by the Porter and Coates Company in Philadelphia, and I want to say that it was probably late 1800s, certainly based on the font. And I think it doesn't have a publication date, but there is an intro that sort of suggests that it was printed in the 1800s, from the last revised edition, containing the author's notes, final corrections, etc. I just love etc. etc. What? Introduction to Ivanhoe, and the dedicatory epistle that was actually from Sir Walter Scott, who actually says some funny things about it. Your most faithful, humble servant, la-di-da. 1817. That's when it was done. 1830 is when this particular, I think when this particular intro was written by Sir Walter Scott. I really don't know when it's printed, but it's got to have been the late 1800s. The book plate. There we go, New England. The book plate says copyright 1913, and she at some point must have put this in. So there's a little book plate with some pilgrims instructing some Indians in something or other. Anyway, it's my grandmother's, Grandma Weymouth. What an adorable thing. Anyway, she also gave me, you can see this in the background right over here, that she gave me the three case Globe-Wernicke, which is definitely not one that's ever, I've jettisoned a lot of furniture and various moves and things, but not the Globe-Wernicke. That's a really beautiful piece, and the Scott still lives in that. Anyway, this Ivanhoe is one of my treasures. I've had it since I was pretty young. I think my grandmother didn't give it to me until she thought I wasn't going to like eat the pages or something, but I've had this for a long time, and I love it. And if I read Ivanhoe, I don't read the Everyman, I read this one. So there you go. Okay, I have two more to go. Let's see, here we have this one I know that you may have seen. This one I've posted on Instagram for sure. This was another one of my rebindings. This one was bound, as I had put it in just before COVID, and asked my binder would he take care of it, and he said, well, it needs to have the paper stabilized first because it was in bits. There's one page missing, still is. There was no backboard. There was no spine, no backboard, so he put those in. The front was still the front is still the original board that was with it, and the pages were a mess. It's a second edition, Bernard and Quaritch. This is a really great book. A first edition would be worth stupid money. This was actually a gift from my aunt, who I believe said, I don't know who else is going to do something with this, because what are you going to do with it? The pages are crumbling, they're falling apart, and there it is. And I said, ooh, can I have it? And she said, yeah, well, I was going to give it to you, so there you go. She gave me this, and I spent a long time looking at it because this is actually a very important reference work see if I can do this again without hurting anything. This is a fairly heavy book, and that's probably one of the reasons that it sort of fell apart. But this is an example of the sort of thing that comes in it. It is a compendium of designs going from primitive times all the way through to, I think Rococo, I want to say, but it's maybe not. I can't remember now. Italian ornament, yeah. So it goes through the Rococo, and then it has a few sort of extra bits in the back. But this one I think is also part of the front page. But we're going to have, here's an example, another example of, yeah. So it's just like, it just absolutely just oodles and oodles of wonderful color illustrations, beautifully printed. I think this one was I want to say this was 1850s. It is, Bernard Clarch is actually still in existence, and they still print things. This was from 1868, Bernard Clarch, 15 Piccadilly, and let me see if I can actually show you the title page for it. There we go. And inside it says that it is the second edition. Here it is, Owen Jones, Grammar of Ornament. Probably not worth a whole lot because it is missing a page, but oh my goodness, I don't care. Actually, I think I made a photocopy of it and said, missing page goes here. There you go. What a treasure. All right, so I got one last one to show you, and then that will be it for my show and tell. This one was the result, amongst other things. This was the final coup de grace. I went to my first antiquarian book fair in February. It was the first expedition out since the COVID shutdown, and I went twice. There was a two-day affair, and I went the opening night, or the opening afternoon, and then the next day. And I was absolutely blown away. I've never seen so many phenomenal books in my life, and I've never seen so many first editions of things that I've only seen pictures of, read about in books, like, first edition Vesalius. Okay, I might have actually seen that at the Huntington Museum in Los Angeles, but not in the flesh, not with a little polite little card saying, for $485,000, this book can be yours. Oh my goodness. No. So I said, clearly I'm not their target market, but I think I actually might have been wrong, because my good friends, the Mark Funky booksellers, who are not funky at all, they're actually a fantastic, lovely family, young, enthusiastic, love books, know what they've got. I love that, and have an establishment. If you ever are in Mid-Valley, you should give them a holler. They're also on Instagram. You should give them a holler and say, can I please come and drop a large sum of money at your shop, because really we know you have the best things. Well, I got one of them. So this is I suppose it could be called a curiosity. This is here's the spine. Yeah, there's the spine. This is Samuel Foster, who was a mathematician and a astronomer and an instrument maker, and he taught and did a variety of different things. And after he died, his works were gathered together in a this is stuck together. Were gathered together in it's called a miscellany, and here it is. Actually, this is mother. This is the it's all stuck together. This is the front page. This was published in 1659. So there you go. This is the oldest book that I have. It was published in 1659, and it is in English and Latin. And there it is. So this is, it's called Miscellany because it's a whole bunch of different things put together. Let me see if I can move my fingers out of the way so you can see. Oh, yeah, there you go. So this is all sort of grouped together in this book. John Twisden, whose name appears rather largely than you would expect for somebody who had done some editing, actually included a couple of his own little tidbits in here too, because publishing is expensive, I guess. But this one, it's got some pictures. It's also got some other fun things that I didn't actually see until after I had drooled over the book for a while when it became mine. So there's definitely the first thing that kind of came to light, and it was certainly made very clear to me, was the astroscopium. There you go. So astroscopium was apparently the planetary instrument that he had improved, designed, or improved. I haven't really read through the entire book yet. What can I say? But it's a fun thing, and so there's a lot of it. There's also diagrams of the stars and how things kind of worked around. Let's see if I can find it. Oh yeah, here we go. Yes, we've never seen any of these before, have we? So he had a whole bunch of graded math problems, algebra actually, for presumably his well-to-do students who needed a little encouragement to toe the line there. Let's see if I can find. I should have marked it before I started this video, but there's a couple that showed up here. Oh, let's see. Is this one of them? Yeah. Okay, so somebody with their little quill pen there in the margin had, I guess they didn't feel like finding some scratch paper, had decided to work out one of the sums, and presumably I suppose it could have been a she, but highly unlikely, decided to work out some of the problems, and this is not the only one. That was really fun. Okay, so this is also officially the one I spent the most money. I'm not going to tell you how much it was, but it was more than I intended to spend, and I'm so happy to have this book. This is this is a wonderful book to have in my library. It's got all kinds of crazy things in it, and it's mine, all mine. My precious. Anyway, there you go. Treasures from my library. It ended up being two things. I may end up by publishing them as two separate things. Maybe that the video just that was going on too long. So if that is so, then this is part 2 of the Treasures of Felicity's Library from her library. And thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye for now.